Hello and welcome to Tuesday's video, everyone. We're now firmly into Derby week, and how do you know it's Derby week? Well, headlines like this from the Daily Record certainly help. The Dyson, Maida and Cyril Dessers similarity as Celtic star told what makes him unbelievably effective. Yeah, it turns out these are some quotes from Craig Moore speaking on Go Radio. I've been trying to rack my brain to kind of work out the similarities between Dyson, Maida and Cyril Dessers. They're both humans, I guess. Both Celtic favourites as well. Other than that, I'm kind of struggling. Yeah, it turns out that it wasn't just the Daily Record who were clearly at the wind-up yesterday. Our beloved club Celtic were also indulging in a little bit of that kind of stuff. A lot of people picking up on this tweet, which promoted the best images from Sunday's win over Hibernian and kicked off with, "There was sunshine on belief at Paradise." Sunshine on belief doesn't really make any sense to me, to be honest, but I don't mind it. Right, we had the Scottish Cup draw late last night, shortly after St Johnstone's narrow victory away to Livingston. Yes, the David Martindale Scottish Cup journey is over. We've only got Premiership teams left now. By the way, side point, if you've somehow not managed to catch the winning goal from that game in Livingston, the goal scored by former Celtic youngster Graham Carey, please seek it out. You will not be disappointed. It is a total belter, 30 yards out, kind of from the side as well, curled right into the top corner, the postage stamp. It was a total belter that got St Johnstone through, and as I say, the draw was made shortly after full time. And wouldn't you just know, we were drawn against St Johnstone at Hampden Park in the third weekend in April. Hearts versus Aberdeen is the other semi-final. So yeah, as we kind of discussed a bit yesterday with Ewan and Asim, and please feel free to check that match reaction out, we were kind of quite relaxed about who we would face in the semis. Clearly we're so far ahead of everyone, and on Sunday beat the second best team in Scotland at the moment in terms of the past couple of months in Hibs with a fair bit to spare. And yeah, just given our recent record, and as I say, how dominant we are in Scottish football, you really don't fear anyone at all. Even more so with like the prospect of a derby in the Scottish Cup, obviously not possible now. So I think we're very relaxed about who we would face. Some people even looking at, wanting a Hearts or Aberdeen. I think Asim made this point. He wanted Hearts or Aberdeen in the semi because it would feel like a bigger game and maybe just give us a little bit more focus for the semi-final. We've drawn St Johnstone, and it's clearly still a big game, a game we'll have to win if we want to win the Scottish Cup. But it's a pretty good draw, and we're evidently going to be pretty big favourites to get through to the final. And if we do get through to the final, it will be against either Hearts or Aberdeen, and that's going to be a pretty glamorous cup final, 50-50 split probably, or certainly there'll be a not at all tiresome debate about that in the weeks leading up to the game. So yeah, that's kind of what our Scottish Cup journey looks like. St Johnstone's semi-final, big favourites for that. Final, if we get there, we're going to be big favourites for that as well, but it's going to be a pretty tasty one, there's that word, against Hearts or Aberdeen. But we'll deal with the Perth Saints first. I mean, kind of park the Scottish Cup for a wee while. I think the next time we play in the competition, we will be champions. I would expect that to be the case. That's really what the next month or so is about, just sealing the league title and ideally doing it with a bit of style. So we win the derby this weekend and we go 19 points clear of Rangers with 24 to play for. We could then theoretically win it, first week back after the international break, should we beat Hearts on the Saturday at Celtic Park and Rangers then lose to Dundee, I think a couple of hours later in the 5:30 kick-off that Saturday evening. We would then be crowned champions at that stage. If not, it would go on to the next week, and again, Rangers play first the next week, so they would have to win at home to Hibs to keep things going. And if all that happened, it would then be, funnily enough, St Johnstone away from home in Perth, Sunday noon kick-off. That's looking like the one that would seal the title for us. Looking at just the way the fixtures have fallen, though, it does seem possible that when it eventually happens, it might be done by Rangers dropping points in another game. It certainly seems like it's not going to be at Celtic Park. And I was looking back through the years, a bit of a kind of strange thing going on where we virtually every year when we seal the title, it's done away from Celtic Park. I think the only one in the last 10 years or so was when we beat Rangers in 2018 5-0 to win the league. So it's looking like it'll be away from Celtic Park again. But clearly I can hear you saying, let's not get ahead of ourselves, let's just beat Rangers this Sunday and take it from there. And I think that's a very fair point. Brendan Rodgers is certainly only going to be focused on Sunday. And he did make a few interesting comments about the game and also the last derby at Ibrox at the start of the year after Sunday's game. And I've taken these, as always, from the Celtic Way, and they write up all of the quotes the manager gives before and after games. Well worth checking out. Brendan Rodgers says, "We were well beaten on the day," that's speaking about the last derby. "Rangers stole our game that day. That's normally how we play and how we do, but they took it from us and deserved the win. But we will be ready for the demands of that game. I said before I'd never had the team really like that in any of those games, so the demands that are needed to play in that game, we will be ready for them next week, like we weren't in the last game. When I analyse Rangers, I see the team that is still doing what they've done all season, been very good in Europe, probably a wee bit inconsistent domestically, but the strength of the team is in counter-attack. It's not when the team's camped in and connecting the game. So we have to be mindful of that. Barry will come with passion and professionalism and want to get a result here, but I do as well, so it'll be a great game." And yeah, just speaking about the game on Sunday, actually, the manager was very keen to say that he doesn't like the word revenge in football. You can kind of understand why. It's quite a... I guess it's, quite heavy language, isn't it? Revenge, and it would probably stir up certain emotions in people and maybe possibly lead to you losing your composure a little bit. It's probably not good for a team to be going out into a game like Sunday there against Hibs or this Sunday against Rangers with like revenge in their mind and just flying into tackles. It's probably much better to keep that composure that we had in the game on Sunday. Having said that, I have no doubt though that the New Year's derby will be mentioned this week. If not by the manager, certainly by guys like Callum McGregor, Kasper Schmeichel. They'll be looking at that game and saying, we were really off it that day. We have a bit of a score to settle this Sunday. So I think that's a really good thing about this week. That the team will know, as I say, how the last game went, and they'll really have the bit between their teeth. And as painful as that was at New Year, and it was like a horrible performance from the team. Remember, nobody played well that day. We may view it as not being a bad thing in the lead up to this game because we've been so dominant over Rangers in these fixtures over the past couple of years that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't proved not to have been the worst thing, just to kind of have been given a bit of a bloody nose in one match, and just a reminder to everyone at the club, including the support, Stevie, that everyone has to be completely switched on for these derbies, and kind of a lesson in what can happen if you're not. So I think a lot of you feel the same, like Celtic are going to really, 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 really fancy this on Sunday. And I think we all want to win, clearly. I think there's an extra element as well, that given how that game went at the New Year and how uncharacteristically kind of off form we were in that match and how dominant Rangers were in that fixture. I mean, it was 3-0 going on 4 or 5. We created very little. I think there's a feeling this Sunday as well that we don't just want to win, we really want to win well, and give them a similar battering, if not more, than what they gave us at New Year. So we'll see if things play out that way, but yeah, I think the team are going to be really motivated this week, a bit like they were on Sunday there, probably even taking it up a notch though. Just before I read out literally a couple of your comments from the win over Hibs, just a report from Scott Burns in the Daily Record last night linking us with teenage Dundee United forward by the name of Owen Stirton. No idea why I said by the name of there and didn't just say his name originally. He's out on loan at Montrose right now, so he's not even at Tannadice. He's been on loan at them. They're in League One. Since January, he's played 7 or possibly 8 times for them, scored 6 goals, pretty good record. Back in November, he became the first product of Dundee United's youth system to actually score on his debut in the top flight for them. Bit of a mouthful that, but basically it was his debut in the Premiership and he scored a late goal against Ross County. So he's quite a hyped player, I think 18 years old. Scott Burns says that our scout, Tosh McKinley, watched him at the weekend against Celtic Hearts. It's believed that Stirton is being viewed as a potential replacement for Daniel Cummins, who we know is going to be leaving the club at the end of his contract at the end of the season. He's, I think, going to be moving to West Ham United. So it seems like Stirton is a potential replacement for Cummins, certainly in the B team. But obviously the goal for anyone in the B team is to eventually become a Celtic first team player. So is Owen Stirton a future B team player? Is he a future first team player for Celtic? We'll have to wait and see. He certainly has a good goal scoring record wherever he goes, and he is very young. So yeah, Owen Stirton, just a wee name. It's hardly going to be like Matthias Kvistgaarden levels of hype and chat this summer, but a name to keep an eye on, and maybe one for the future should we sign him. Right, just a few comments before I go on various topics. I basically just go through the comments and go, yeah, that one looks all right. Matthew Rossi, Dyson was his usual legendary self yesterday. Enjoyed watching Hatate too. Is he definitely leaving in the summer? Yeah, Dyson was brilliant once again. I don't have anything else to say about Dyson at this stage because we've said everything recently and keep saying it. Hatate, a few people commenting on Hatate's performance and saying that he was really good, and I, having watched bits of the game back, I agree. Like, I thought there was a few really quality bits of play. The thing with Hatate is, and I don't know if everyone else has kind of realised this, but you do tend to remember the things he doesn't do well more than the things he does generally, and I don't know exactly why that is. I mean, he passes the ball out of play in the first half, and I think he was like the first player in the team to have done that in the game, and to be honest, the first bit of sloppy play in the entire performance, so it kind of sticks with you. But then he does something brilliant, like the left-footed pass, weaker foot that he plays for Maida, for the one Maida then controls and fires over the bar just before we actually got the opener, is brilliant play from Hatate. And then he's involved in the opener as well. It's a very simple pass, but he's the one that plays it to Schlupp, who crosses it, and it's Kuhn, and then Maida's onto the rebound, puts it into the net. So he was involved in things, and I thought he had a really good game. And I actually think Reo Hatate has been really good recently. I think over the past probably 4 or 5 weeks, I think he's been one of our better players. In terms of your comment about is he definitely leaving in the summer? No, he's not definitely leaving. I think the general feeling is that he probably will move on because he'll have been there at the club for 3.5 years at that stage, and it just feels like he'll probably want to move on at that point in his career. And if we're looking at someone like Lennon Miller, potentially someone would move on to create space for Miller. And as I've commented on previously, the rest of our midfield looks pretty well set for next season. Doesn't seem like anyone else would be leaving. So it does seem like Hatate's the most likely one, but I don't think it's, out with the realms of possibility that he sticks around for next season, gives us another year and then moves on. But if you're asking me, do I think he'll leave in the summer? I think potentially. And probably, actually. Right, we've got B Dizzy. I hated the new Maida song until I saw the players dancing and saw how much fun it looks in the crowd. So fair enough, it shouldn't work, but it seems like it does. Again, something I picked up on after the game. And kudos to Premier Sports actually for showing the players walking around the pitch after the game and not cutting it off like Sky always tend to do. It's one of my pet hates, that. But yeah, Luke McCowan was kind of singing it, wasn't he? And I think it caught Jota dancing, and Austin Trusty was laughing, and the fans were enjoying it as well. So that was a really good moment. I'm not totally mad on the song. I know I wasn't at Celtic Park, so maybe it's different if you're at the game. It's a little bit basic for me, but it's probably one of those that over time will really grow on me. It probably has already grown on me, as you say, B Dizzy, as I was watching the coverage, but I just like a bit of a a genius one with more than one word. But anyway, John CL, Schlupp makes a big difference. Taylor always looked busy, but not much positive happening. But we all know his downside, gets targeted and bullied. Schlupp is a unit. Yeah, I think Jess Schlupp's made just a huge difference. He certainly exceeded my expectations coming into the club. And I'm already just hoping we can keep hold of him next season, or not keep hold, but can sign him for next season. I know wages might be an issue, but you'd hope that he's maybe made his money and is at the point of his career where he just wants to win trophies and enjoy himself. And I know Kieran Tierney's coming in, but I think we all feel that Tierney shouldn't be playing every week for us, given his history, and the fact that we kind of ran him into the ground first time round and the injuries he's had since he left us in, I think, 2019. I think the general feeling is that Tierney will be a big player for us, but we have to just manage him to an extent, given all the games that we're going to play. I mean, 2 extra ones next season with the qualifiers as well for the Champions League. So having Schlupp as someone, a dependable player, who dependable seems to be doing him a little bit of a disservice, because I think he's been far more than that for us. But having Tierney as like the explosive fullback who could take us to the next level, and someone like Schlupp as a player to play in other games, and potentially in midfield as well at times, I think would just be an amazing thing for Celtic. So I think he's been excellent, Schlupp. I mean, if we hadn't assigned Kieran Tierney, big if, I know, but people would be saying, Schlupp's good enough to be our first choice left back going forward. So it's great to have Tierney coming in, and ideally Schlupp could be around next season as well, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, that's where we're at, everyone. We're just gradually firing through the week towards Sunday. Fair old bit of time to go between now and then, so I'll keep plenty of my powder dry ahead of that one. But forecast another quiet-ish midweek, probably the odd story here and there, and then as we get towards the end, why am I sounding like a weather forecaster? Oh dear. Right, see you later.